Hello YouTube, this is Greg, and today we're going to be playing PokéRogue. I had a video essay. We don't have much gacha. I did have a video essay for Limbus Company, and in fact I recorded my roles. They were okay. It's just that not like how the recording turned out at all. It just wasn't a reflection of me. That's why I didn't like it. So therefore I don't want to use it. But it was pretty successful, I would say. I got quite a few things from a progression app. The only thing I don't have is Wing Beats, Ishmael, and Regret Faust. So yeah, I got quite a bit, but again, I just don't feel comfortable showing that. So anyways, for that video essay, the video essay was supposed to be a reflection of Gacha and Aliens. Maybe I should turn off the audio or at least lower it. Yeah. Anyways. Aliens and Gacha, yeah, kind of random, but I liked how the essay turned out, so I want to share it. But basically, there was this video that's talked about video games and specifically gacha games and how they aren't technically gambling, but they use quite a few techniques from gambling. For example, like gambling and gacha games try to get the people involved as much as possible, right? Like gacha games in general are not really strictly, by definition, yes or no gambling, right? They kind of blur the line. And so most gacha games really try to make the community involved and outside of the game. Like there are art contests or like websites you could play on or whatever. But and like another way is like endgame content and grinding. And this gacha game, like Limbus specifically, doesn't have a lot of stuff going on in endgame, right? Like the PFAS system is really unique, and I was kind of like wondering if that's done intentionally. Just by the way, this all comes from like another YouTuber and his video. Well, their video, I don't know anything about them. So you know, link in the description. And this video essay, the actual essay in Word script will be also in the description. So the next thing I want to talk about is about aliens and like how aliens are kind of related to this. So again, this comes from another YouTuber, Dr. Fatima? I don't know how to pronounce it. Butchered it probably. But basically she talks about how science and scientists approach sentient life in outer space and like outer space exploration and stuff like that. And like she talks about how there's different methods, not really different methods, but different approaches to look for aliens, right? Maybe Mitsuso wasn't such a good idea. But basically there's this one idea at the very end of her video, or their video, that was just basically saying that looking for aliens reflects a lot about ourselves and our society. Well, not our society, but society, right? But that basically we are projecting onto aliens what we would expect of ourselves. And then she starts talking about this other idea, like how she starts talking about society, right? And how there's either sustained and finite growth or infinite growth, right? But basically, for society to grow, right, there has to be an input of resources and energy, right? And so basically society continually wants to grow, and so you're gonna have to put in more and more resources. And there's gonna be a point where you will desire for like infinite growth, but there would also be a requirement for infinite energy and resources, which doesn't really make sense, right? Like there's no such thing as infinite energy. And there's just gonna be a point where there's gonna be societal collapse because there's just so much resources necessary for growing, right? But they just can't grow. And she refers to, in the paper she cites, she refers to this as a singularity. But there's basically different ways to offset this point of collapse, the singularity, right? Basically, you could try to get more from your resources. You could develop new methods to make your resources more efficient. Like, say, I think gasoline is kind of a good example of this. Like, gasoline is used basically 100% efficiently. There's very little waste, right? It's called like the E factor, right? Which is whatever. As environmental science, I don't really think green chemistry approaches environmental concerns in a healthy way, but that's a discussion for another time, if ever. But basically, gasoline started off at the point where we weren't using everything. It wasn't like the most efficient field like when it started off, right? But now it has very little waste. It makes the most out of everything, right? Like, and that's kind of the idea she was trying to express. She doesn't use the example of gasoline. I actually just thought of it just now. But like, it basically offset the how like renewable energy is necessary, right? It offset that by making it itself more efficient. And so she kind of at the end discusses that maybe aliens, instead of focusing on infinite growth, maybe they are just trying to do sustained living more than anything else. Like, maybe they don't believe in space exploration and colonialism, right? Like, they very much might reach that point where they want to focus internally instead of externally, basically. And again, watch her video. She describes it much better than I ever can. But that's the basic idea, that there's going to be a point where we can't sustain growth, societal growth, so we would have to do a little bit of, not soul searching, but we're going to have to like slow down and do finite growth and really consider our options about exploration and this infinite growth, if it's really worth it, right? So she talks about that and how aliens might be at this stage, and that's why we might not be finding them. Got thunder last time too. But I think this view is a bit too optimistic. Like, personally, from my own experience and reading experience, I think that humans, or at least in my own case, I feel that humans strive between this binary between survival and self-destruction. I think that there very much is this desire. All sentient life strives for survival, yet all sentient life strives for self-destruction. That's like how I would word it. Neither of these are good. But basically, sentient life will not always be one side or of the other, right? And like basically, sentient life has to find a way to move and change and adapt. It's kind of like evolution, right? Like the theory of blinking out, where things that survive or have adapted better to their environment, right? It's kind of like that, but mentally. Oh, that's annoying. I do think aliens, if they're real, would be aiming for sustained living and finite growth. But I don't think it would be as ideal as her video proposes, I guess. I think, like, since we're talking about how we project onto aliens, right, and how it shows a little bit of ourselves, I think there's actually quite a few good examples in our society here on Earth where we have this trade-off between survivability and destruction, right? And as someone who does environmental science and research in that field, the first example I think of is PFAS. So PFAS is a persistent organic pollutant. Persistent just means it stays, doesn't go anywhere. Organic means it's made up of carbon. In this case, it's made up of carbon, oxygen, and fluorine. And pollutant means that it pollutes things. We don't want it there, right? Misplaced matter. But PFAS is this persistent organic pollutant, and it's everything. It's in everything, and it's everywhere, right? You might know PFAS by their other name called forever chemicals, in that the media reports them as things that last forever in the environment, which isn't true, by the way, but that's another video I would like to make about PFAS. But anyways, PFAS, not only is it in everything, it is also used in renewable energy. Like, it is used for electric car batteries, for solar panels. It's quite versatile, right? It's used for these things for renewable energy, right? Sustained energy, sustained growth, finite growth, not infinite growth, right? So, like, it kinda is for sustained living, right? On the other hand, PFAS is a pollutant because it has quite a number of health effects, not only to humans, to everyone, not to everyone, like all things. Like, cows get dangerously ill from PFAS. Like, if you go check the news, it's a little bit of a trigger warning that this is something, I guess, I don't actually know what this print does, but basically but basically it's that's not worth it. But basically, PFAS, when cows get them, you have to cull the herd, which means you might have to kill all of them. Yeah, it's PFAS. It's not nice. It stays in your water and it goes into your water. It stays in your water. It goes into wastewater treatment plant, and now it has to be destroyed, and that's just a whole other issue, right? Like I said, I could make a lot of videos about PFAS, but anyways, I think PFAS kind of reflect what I'm trying to say, right? It is destructive. It is not maybe dangerous, but it is very unwelcome. It's a pollutant. It's harmful, right? But on the other hand, it's used for solar cells and electric car batteries. Like, those are renewable, right? It very much reflects this dichotomy that I was trying to point out, that sentient life aims for survival, yet it aims for self-destruction also. Like, in a way, I would expect aliens to have something similar to PFAS that isn't PFAS in name, you know? But anyways. So the next thing to talk about is Colin Hobbes, but more specifically Bill Watterson and his newest book called, I don't know what it's called, but it's Mysteries. It's about mysteries. He co-authored it with someone else, but basically, if you want to read it, it's very short, you can read it, but I actually really want a superior. Watch out. But basically, mysteries existed in this book world, right? And basically, humans were terrified of mysteries. They were valiantly defending their cities against it. They were trying to attack it, trying to very much survive against this threat called mysteries. Mysteries with a capital M, by the way. But eventually they defeat mysteries and they capture it, right? And they start analyzing it. And so at one point they understand mysteries so well that they could be put into zoos and put for spectacles, right? Like, and slowly but surely, as society develops, society kind of forgets about mysteries, right? And they're slowly withering away. Like, yeah, like, it's not their environment. That's not how they're supposed to live, right? They don't live in cages. They live in the world, right? Annoying. What do I think is more annoying? Watchdog. Oh, no, that's really annoying. Oh, whatever. But basically, mystery starts withering away. And eventually, human society collapses and disappears. And so, in the end, mysteries survives, and they thrive. They live in this new world without humans. They very much survive, and that's kind of the end of the story. Yeah, like I said, it's a very short. I think it's supposed to be a kid's book. I'm not sure, but I think the whole thing is less than 100 words. I think I did not count, but yeah, it's short. It's a picture book, but it's nice. I liked it. But I felt so relieved when I finally read that mysteries lived happily ever after and survived. Because I do research in PFAS stuff, right? I very much study cleaning up the environment with bacteria, right? Under anoxic conditions, if you must know, but basically I feel very much this need to find this one true answer to PFAS, right? Spoiler, there's not. It's complicated, but that's, like I said, a video for another time. But basically, I very much feel this need to find this one answer. Oh, there goes Ren. Yeah. But basically, I feel very much the need to... Oh, maybe I will just... Yeah, this run is a shiny Eternatus. That's why I don't have him at, like, Eternatus yet, so I can't catch it, but I would like a shiny Eternatus, so yeah. That's why... Yeah, anyways. Where were we? Basically, I very much feel this need to find an answer, right? Like one hard answer, solve it all, which is not how science works, but whatever. But this book reminds me that it is not necessary, that it's okay if there is no answer, and that, you know, oh no, that's annoying. And that even if we don't interfere, even if humans were to perish, that'd be fine, because the world will continue to live on. Everything is going to be okay, you know? And that really brought me a whole lot of relief. Oh no, that's annoying. You know? Like, the world is inherently sustained, and I wouldn't say the right... sustained finite growth, right? It's very much... like, the fact that we exploit it for its resources, for infinite resources or whatever, is very much a reflection of ourselves, right? Like, that we try to get whatever we want from gasoline, right? That's us projecting onto the world, right? And so, well, I wouldn't say us, but that's human society projecting onto the world. Oh, no. Oh, thank God. Oof. Yeah, but anyways. Oh yeah, this thing has insomnia. Yeah. Bye-bye, little birdie. But basically, society projected onto the world, that, like, we're exploiting the word, like, you know, the Giving Tree, for example. Like, you read that book about how the tree gave up everything until there was nothing left to give? It's kind of like that. Society kind of exploits the world, right? Like, there are wars over natural resources, right? But anyways. Yeah, a little bit dark there, but, I think this is also kind of reflective in Limbus Company, in the world, you know? Obviously I can't do that, but... Right, like... the humans... I would say that the humans in the city very much see themselves as people who are very much a part of the world, and the world is actually projecting onto them instead of humans projecting onto the world. Like, I think, like, a pretty good proof of this would be the index, for example. But for example, like the index, I would say even distortion / ego manifestation is a reflection of, you know, the need for the, not the need, but the world's projecting onto humans in the city, right? And I would say that the disease of the mind in the city is just that. I should heal. Mhm. I should also probably reroll. Nah, it's an egg voucher, it's worth it. But anyways. Don't worry. Yeah. Oh no. That's annoying. I was hoping it was gonna... Yeah, but anyways, I think that the disease of the mind is the fact that humans are in this finite growth of sustained living of the world projecting onto them, right? I think the disease of the mind is just that, the fact that they have the desire to some self-destructive urges, right? Purges, right? But the fact that they can't express it is the disease of the mind, right? They exist strictly in this one binary that just isn't in human nature, inherently in... that doesn't exist in human nature. And basically, that's kind of why they are struggling so much. There is this desire for self-destruction, but they just can't, right? And so that's what I think, that's what the disease of the mind is. I also think this is getting annoying. Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter. Normally Doroka can just solo Eternatus if it really does not matter, but anyways. Wow, that did no damage. Well, GG. Oh wow, Oh well, GG now. Let's see, disease of the mind. I think this is reflective of the game state itself. Basically that it exists very much that there's finite growth. And I think that's reflective in the fact that there is no good endgame content, right? Like, I think that's also reflective in the fact of the unique gacha system, you know? Like, the fact that, like, the lack of endgame content reflects the sustained growth that the city adopted towards, and therefore, we will not get any more endgame growth that is directly against the will of the city. That's personally my coping mechanism. And yeah, that's the video. Sorry that there's no Limbus Company gameplay footage to go with, you know, the essay about Limbus Company and the city, but the rules went fine. It was just, I was saying a lot of things that were just not reflective of what I wanted to say. It was very much trying to be a communication between, it was also doing the upside stories, and so like I was trying to communicate with the characters in the story and like talk about their ideas, but it just turned out that it was not. These characters are flawed, and the discussion was inherently flawed. Let's put it like that. But yeah, thank you for watching. Have a good day. I hope you enjoyed. Sorry again for no Limbus, and have a good day. Thank you.